Hi Sparkly Beings, welcome back to my channel. So today I just wanted to do a little chit chat about wrists. One of my friends brought this up to me recently. She was saying while she was practicing my yoga tutorials that her wrists were hurting a lot, especially when she was doing plank. So I just wanted to touch base about this because I know in the yoga world this is something that can cause problems for people. There are a lot of things here to consider. One, if you're just getting back into fitness and haven't been doing it for a while, you have to rebuild back up those muscles a little bit. So it's just growing, essentially. It's like when you go to the gym and you lift weights, you have about 3 days of recovery that you need before you can officially access that same muscle tissue again. And that's like at a slightly maybe faster rate. I would say even up to 5 days would be good to wait. So I think that's something that a lot of people don't think about when they do get back into fitness and or start practicing yoga a lot, and they think like yoga is pretty easy and it should be mostly painless, but that's not quite the case, because a lot of times what's also happening is you are still breaking down the muscle tissue, even if it's not necessarily resistance based. Even in the longer stretches, you are breaking down the tissue, so it's rebuilding itself, so it has more range of motion. So that is definitely something that happens that a lot of people don't think about. One is a high repetition as well. So say you're a big practitioner and you just do a lot of yoga, and your regular practice maybe is about an hour a day. And depending on what kind of a practice you do, how many times you're down in plank going into your chaturanga, so basically your vinyasa flow, that is going to impact your wrist as well. So for instance, if you watch my channel so far and you see what kind of yoga videos I produce, they're pretty varied. There's not always going to be a chaturanga, there's not always going to be a vinyasa flow. And I do actually incorporate other sorts of resistance style in my yoga, having people do a few sets of different movements to engage those muscle fibers. So my particular yoga that I practice and teach is maybe not going to affect people quite the same way. That being said, on the flows that I do that do have planks and vinyasa, that is something that you just have to get used to. So if you notice in yoga as well, there's prayer pose. There's a reason we come into prayer pose. Prayer pose actually helps stretch your wrists. It stretches your wrist. It's a freaking amazing thing, right? So you think that you're just being like, yes, I'm zen. You're stretching your wrist here, okay? Especially if you're really raising your elbows away from the ground, you'll get a good stretch here. Also, there's an inverse where you can pull your elbows down towards the ground and you can rotate your hands back and forth. So that's also an option. I do have a video that stretches your wrists, hands and fingers, so there's a reason why I made that video. And a lot of times people may not necessarily think about that. Also, a huge thing to consider is your lifestyle. What does that look like? Like how often are you actually carrying groceries and things like that? How often, are you lifting weights is a good question, right? Lifting weights actually helps strengthen your wrist because it holds your hands in different angles. So where if you're doing a bicep curl, wide arm curl, things like that, you're engaging and strengthening this, right? You can actually find exercises to strengthen your wrist, do little weird hand curls and things like this over ledges or on tables. I mean, yeah, you can do that if you want, or you can start incorporating movement more holistically into your life. Just carry heavy groceries, consider walking to and from the store with some groceries. Don't be afraid to pick up things, just do it mindfully, right? So all of these things over time, holistically, would help improve that. Also, there's something to consider in terms of how long you're on the computer, and your wrists being at this weird angle. I mean, we weren't born with computers attached to us, with keyboards attached to us. This is something fairly new. So it's going to fatigue you. And so the main thing that a lot of people may not realize is that part of the reason why things like arthritis occur is actually because a lot of times people in life, they're doing one specific posture, right? So if you're doing like computer, you're hunched over. Well, where's the counterbalance to that? Counterbalance means like reverse of that. If you don't balance out what you're doing one way, then you just keep going this way, this way, this way, this way, right? So in yoga, if you notice, there's a forward fold, there's a back bend, there's a side stretch, and to the other side. You are unilaterally adjusting and working with the body to make sure that everything gets touched, everything gets balanced, right? So it's more than just a flow and a practice. It's treating your body, having a conversation with it simultaneously while you're taking the practice, and really hearing what those signals from your body are telling you. And essentially those signals are a little bit of tightness, a little bit of pain, right? So it's not like you're a bad person if your wrist hurt. It's not like you're a bad person if you type at a computer. You know, you're just a human living this life, and that's gonna happen. The thing is just be aware of, if you're moving one direction, allow yourself to come into the other direction. That way, holistically, balanced wise, you know, you get a little bit of everything. It's okay to do one thing like a few months, and then some shifts have to occur. So what's happening is that you are just balancing your body out in a really kind of hyper-focused way, and then you have to reel it back. So people tend to see benefits when they do something a little bit more extreme because they're cutting out all the other bits. That's just something to consider. Make sure you're properly hydrated. Make sure you're getting enough minerals. You know, mineral deficiency could cause joint pain, not getting enough protein. And then, of course, if there's any things in your environment that cause some kind of allergic reaction, black mold, for instance, it can cause joint pain as well. So just things to be aware of. If you have minor wrist pain, then I wouldn't be like, oh, there's black mold somewhere, or oh, I need to completely change my diet, or whatever. Just drink some water, relax, do some stretches, you know, do a little wrist rotation, be kind to yourself, right? We're not here to, I don't know, just freak out about everything, right? I mean, we could, but that would make life a little bit too extreme for me. So that's all. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I hope that this was helpful for anybody or a lot of buddies. Just keep that in mind. Be kind to yourself and take that into your practice in the future. So until next time, have a beautiful day, and I will see you again. Namaste.